The media and the Democrats are fuming because Donald Trump led a packed house in Madison Square Garden in New York. You can see this is the scene. This is what they call a movement. This is a huge event. And the impact of it was reverberating throughout the media. And a lot of people very upset about it because there were some mean jokes there last night, and they don't like those jokes. So we'll talk about what happened here. But you can see the regular headlines are like this from Axios. MAGA speakers unleash ugly rhetoric at Trump's MSG rally. And this is how you know is effective, because they're comparing it to a Nazi event. They're like little lunatics. So they're saying crude comments aren't new. They're latching onto some jokes from a comedian who wasn't even a big part of the show. But the show was crazy. There was Hulk Hogan was there. Dr. Phil was there. Tucker Carlson was there. RFK Jr. was there. Melania came out. It was just wild. Here was Trump and Hulk Hogan. It was a ton of fun. And you can see there's Trump just crushing him. Come on, brother. And he's just beating the heck out of Hulk Hogan. That's how strong he is. Amazing. So Trump is killing it. And you can see they were very unhappy about it. Our friend, Dr. Simon Godek over on X, is explaining this. They actually were saying that Trump was like Nazi, like this is a Nazi rally. And I'm not joking about that at all. Here is what MSNBC said before we play some clips. Melania came out. She looked beautiful. I got some other great clips coming up, but here is the reaction. And Mika Brzezinski, Joe's husband, is super upset about this. She's having a rough morning today again, too, coming up.
But that jamboree happening right now, you see it there on your screen, in that place is particularly chilling. Because in 1939, more than 20,000 supporters of a different fascist leader, Adolf Hitler, packed the garden for a so-called pro-America rally. A rally where speakers voiced anti-Semitic rhetoric from a stage draped with Nazi banners. When a Jewish protester rushed the stage, the Associated Press reported instantly a dozen or more stormtroopers set upon him, knocking him down and beating him as he held his head in his arms. Most of his clothing was torn from his body. Later, he was booked for disorderly conduct.
What? Back in...
Now, against that backdrop of history...
What? So that didn't happen here. That happened back in the 1930s. Okay.
The man who has threatened to use the military against opponents he calls enemies from within, who has threatened to use the troops to quell what he says are lawless cities, and to use those...
You guys just passed your DOD directive, which authorizes you to take out Americans using lethal force. Who's doing what now?
Troops to mass deportations of immigrants is once again turning Madison Square Garden into a staging ground for extremism.
Okay, so I don't even know where that came from. Was this whole segment because of the jokes? Because of some bad jokes from a comedian? That's Nazism now? All right. So that was one take on it. And here's Mika. And you can see she's been having some rough goes at this. Shout out to Carly for always flagging these for us. But here is what she said this morning. Last week, she came out. If you missed that, oh my gosh. Mika came out and said, they're killing us. They're literally killing us. Trump is killing women. We're going, what are you talking about? He's killing us. She went nuts. And all the other dudes who were at the panel around her were like, yikes. So here she is again, and probably had a rough weekend. I think they're all having to come to terms with the realistic future of where this election is going. Here is Mika.
I think a lot of people are seeing that rally at Madison Square Garden, seeing all those people. Doesn't mean he's going to win the race, but my point is it's discouraging.
It doesn't mean he's going to win the race. What's wrong, Mika? Get nervous?
So many people would gather and rally to hate speech in America.
Is that Al Sharpton?
It's discouraging and it hurts.
It is discouraging. Well, a lot of people don't buy your fake garbage narrative, Mika. That's why they're there, because they don't think he's a Nazi, because he's not a Nazi.
Who have family in Puerto Rico, who are Puerto Rican Americans, who are American citizens, are hearing hate like that. It's discouraging.
It was a joke, actually. And shout out to our Puerto Rican friends. And I'm not a big fan of jokes like that in general. Obviously, we don't joke like that here, mostly. But it is something that they're exploiting, right? They're latching onto. They're just so uncreative. They have no real talent in their own candidate. So they just need something. They're like, Rico, like Puerto Rico, are you going to win that state and their vote this cycle or what? What are you so upset about? Okay, it was a joke. And Mika is having another meltdown over it.
Joe, and I do want to show Michelle Obama in Kalamazoo, but I just think it's important to look at the situation, and it's not just, oh my gosh, about the race. It's, oh my gosh, how did we get here? How did we get here where a stadium of people come to hate? That's a different country, a different time.
You know how you get past that?
How do you get past that?
Work harder, vote,
yes,
and win.
Vote 2 or 3 times if you have to. Vote 2 or 3 times. It doesn't matter. Okay, get all your illegal alien friends and have them vote too with you. All right. It's such an interesting show how they have this married couple up there just like teeing each other up and then complaining all morning. It's just wild. All right. So that's what's happening over there. It was just a total amazing evening. And we had a bunch of people coming out. Byron Donalds had some reaction to it. And this is what the scene looked like here. Okay, here's just a little bit of a taste of the crowd. All right, look at all these people. Now they start playing some music, so I'll turn it down here in a second. But that's Melania up on the stage introducing her husband, and just a jam-packed crowd filled to the brim. You see any sections closed off, hidden behind curtains, and then papered over with billboards that say joy, joy? No, you don't. It's Madison Square Garden. That's in New York. That is a hell of a turnout. And so Melania came out, introduced the president. President Trump came out. You can see there he is there standing. That's the backside of the stage there, standing there with Melania, and just a wild scene. So Melania came out. She was looking amazing. And here is what she looked like when she came on the stage. It's nice to see her out on the trail. Beautiful, beautiful scene. Melania, nice to have her out on the campaign trail for the final days and final week. And there's Elon on the stage. Man, we have the best people, don't we? Elon and RFK, and who else did we have? Tulsi Gabbard came out, and here's what she said on the stage last night. What's up, Tulsi?
Join me as I say these words. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As we gather here today on this historic occasion, we stand together as proud Americans in understanding that these very rights are under attack. So we face this historic crossroads where our freedom and our future is in our hands. There's never been a more clear choice in any election in my life, and our ability to live in a truly peaceful and free and prosperous country is on the line. I love you too.
All right, so some good stuff from Tulsi. She went out. She was about 5 minutes. Tucker was there. He went out for about 5 minutes, or about 9 minutes. And there was just a bunch of people there. There was Hulk Hogan. There was Dr. Phil, as I mentioned, and many others. But they brought AOC out, and AOC is a New Yorker, and she's very unhappy about this racism. I can't believe they made fun of Puerto Rico. I can't believe they called it trash in an ocean or something like that. And this is the end of America. We're going to elect them into America. What's going to happen to Puerto Rico if Trump wins? Is he going to get rid of them?
So Congressman, last night, right here in New York City, your hometown, Donald Trump held a packed rally at Madison Square Garden.
Yep.
And a number of speakers used downright racist and offensive language, more so than the so-called comedian who said that Puerto Rico was an island of garbage. Can you just give us your reaction to what you heard last night?
That's
just hours and hours of frankly, hate, and what, frankly, how it could electrify this electorate.
There's a couple of things. As you mentioned, this was a hate rally. This was not just a presidential rally. This was also not just a campaign rally. I think it's very important for people to understand that these are mini January 6th rallies. These are mini Stop the Steal rallies. These are rallies to...
Oh, gosh. They insurrected Madison Square Garden. I love this, actually. It totally diminishes January 6th completely. Every time you say January 6th was like a garbage can got blown over in a strong breeze or something like that, it diminishes it in their minds, right? In our minds, it's already diminished. We already go, what are you talking about? It's a 4-hour riot, whatever. But at MSNBC, okay, all these people here, some of them have to be scratching their heads going, what? Not a large portion of them, because there's not a lot of thinking happening there in that audience. But my point is, a portion of them have to go a concert kind of rally event at MSG, Madison Square Garden. What? Which I just learned what that acronym means. That is the same thing as January 6th. It does not compute, right? How are they the same thing? Clearly, they're not. But now everything is an insurrection, right? AOC went outside and got in her car. Somebody cut her off, insurrected. She went to Whole Foods. They were out of kale, and suddenly insurrection. Everywhere you look, insurrection constantly. So same thing is happening here. And it was a hate rally, and it was AOC's, I guess she had to relive January 6th again all last night for hours in Madison Square Garden. She was assaulted, clavicles broken all over the place. What a brutal event last night. So Trump was also out. Here's a little exchange of what he had to say from the event stage.
After all we have been through together, we stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in the history of the USA. With your help from now until Election Day, we will restore America's promise. We will put America first, and we will take back the nation that we all love. We bleed the same blood. We share the same home, and we salute the same great American flag. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never, ever back down. And we will never, ever surrender. Yeah! Together we will fight and we will win. We're going to win-win.
Mr. President, El Presidente, welcome to the stage, delivering a very nice statement there. And he's right. We are going to win. So they asked Byron Donalds, hey, Byron, are you offended by these Puerto Rican jokes? Are you now going to finally unveil your Nazi allegiances, Byron?
The entire time. So to the New York Daily News, is it a racist rally if you have a black man from Florida who's originally from New York speaking at the rally? I don't think so. This is the problem with most media today. They're too busy trying to fearmonger everything except it's instead of actually talking about the facts and the substance. It was a great rally last night. Donald Trump obviously spoke. Did he say something that was off color? No, he did not. I spoke. Did I say something off color? No, I did not. Eric Trump, Laura Trump, Don Trump Jr., Elon Musk, Howard Lutnick. Did they say anything that was off color? No, they did not.
Distance himself from the comedian who was there
Nazi.
and the comments that he made.
I didn't agree with the comedian said. None of us did. When it came out, we were all like,
distanced himself.
Yeah, of course. We were all like, wait, what? Who? Did that get up? No, nobody agreed with that. Nobody. Was there the
Yeah, it was a joke. Adolf Byron Donalds is apparently part of the Third Reich now because he was there speaking at the Klan rally led by Adolf Trump. So here is another question. Now, this one's very curious. So they asked Mayor Adams of New York, they said, what are this Nazi stuff? This is in your backyard, Mayor Adams. He's been indicted by the DOJ for bribery or for corruption. Okay. All right. Which I'm sure he is. Don't get me wrong. But of all the things, now they're hitting him with this. Very curious. So there's something weird happening here because they asked the mayor about this. They said, do you think he's a Nazi? Do you think Trump's a Nazi? Because everyone else does here.
Mr. Mayor, I wondered if I could ask you about any communications you've been having with the Trump campaign about this rally or otherwise, and if you believe, as others have said, that the former president is fascist.
I have had those terms hurled at me by some political leaders in the city, using terms like Hitler and fascist.
Yeah.
My answer is no. I know what Hitler has done, and I know what a fascist regime looks like. I think, as I've called over and over again, that the level of conversation, I think we could all dial down the temperature. And I've heard people say that the former president should not be able to have a rally in Madison Square Garden. I strongly disagree. This is America. This is New York. And I think it's important that we allow individuals to exercise their right to get their message clear to New Yorkers. And our job as a city and as a police department is to make sure they could do that in a peaceful way.
And it seems like everything went off without a hitch last night. It was a nice event and it seems like everybody had a good time. So that worked out well. Now, he's in a difficult position to be in because if Trump wins, what he might be angling for right here is a dismissal of his criminal charges, because Trump's DOJ is going to be less corrupt than Biden-Harris's DOJ, and they are prosecuting him. So maybe he'll say, we talk nice about Trump, and then they'll dismiss my charges. On the other hand, now that he's talking nicely about Trump and opposed to Kamala Harris, you better be careful. He might be getting indicted again or arrested again anytime soon. So now this person in the media was explaining that there is something happening with Trump. And here's a rare moment of clarity from John Carl.
Look, I was there for about 6 hours yesterday. First thing I've got to say, Madison Square Garden was packed. People waited hours to get in. They sat through hour after hour of this rally. They were fervent in their devotion to all things. Trump has created a movement. There is no doubt. I cannot think of another Republican figure of my lifetime who could have come into a Democratic city like New York and put together anything like that. Look, I was there.
Yeah, he's right about that. And that is becoming more and more clear. And I think it's freaking out even some Republicans. They're like, oh, crap. Even if after Trump wins, we might be done for. And so they're not happy about it. Here was the Trump campaign coming out in the aftermath, explaining their take post rally event.
The energy last night was palpable in the room. The spirit, it was happiness and joy. And it was such a diverse group of people in that stadium, packed to the house. There wasn't an empty seat. You had Black Americans, Latino Americans, Jewish Americans, men, women of all ages coming in support of President Trump and unafraid to show it, by the way, even in the streets here of very liberal New York City, which I think there's a chance of getting very red after last night. President Trump's message was optimistic, and I loved what Mrs. Trump said. She said, New York is a city of hope and dreams. You have people bustling from office to make a living, and those dreams are becoming unattainable because of Democrat policies. And I think President Trump offered a real message of hope to New Yorkers and all Americans. And what an epic way to kick off.
It was. Yeah, and good vibes, man, especially in New York, to send out 70,000, 100,000 people. There were a bunch of people even outside, and just send out that energy, that vibe back into the electorate. Right, that's what we need right now is energy. It's get out the vote time. People have mostly made their decisions up. So now you got to get people going. That's why Trump's showing up on Rogan and spending 3 hours with him. And by the way, did you hear Rogan in the aftermath of that had a comment on another show? And he said that Trump didn't urinate before the interview, after the interview, and didn't drink a single thing the whole time. Rogan said he was going for 3 hours. He said, this is crazy. What the heck? He just came in, did it, 3 hours left. Went right back out again. It's wild. So pretty impressive. Now, Kamala would not obviously be able to do any of that. And that is so useful because that interview has gotten, I think it's pushing 30 million views now. Even if a small percentage of that, even if you say 10% of that gets out and votes now, it's millions of people, whatever number you want to pick. Trump's War Room posted that, and there were some more reaction here. You can see the numbers are changing. Pretty big warning sign for Kamala in the early vote.
Check this out. In 2020, Republicans were only 33% of early voters. Now it is up to 40%. So in this big state with a big Latino population, a whole lot of union members, some warning signs, at least early on in early voting.
And Rick, Generals John Kelly, Mark Milley have called Donald Trump a fascist. Kamala Harris agrees. And we have some polling on that.
Check this out.
Yeah, Mark Milley agrees. He's a fascist. George, you're probably getting a little bit nervous. Now, talking about fascists, so here is one woman who is getting heckled when she's at her rallies. This is Kamala.
We are fighting for America's future. And we understand the opportunity we have before us to turn the page on the fear.
What's wrong, Kamala? What's wrong? Oh, man. She wasn't happy after that. And after she got interrupted, man, she just switched into anger mode. And here's what she sounded like right after she was upset.
Should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States.
Wow.
Never again.
Wow. Never. Wow. Kamala. Wow. She really changed into something a little upsetting. Looks pretty good. Fits her perfectly. Okay. All right. So here's Kamala Never again. Okay. As the real fascist continues to occupy the White House and fights for 4 more years, they're the ones who are acting like dictators, not Trump. And you can tell they're getting a little nervous, panic in the air as their campaign continues to flounder. All right.